was around the age of 7. I started to hear things.
Spirits of the dead are something that should not be trusted at all.
Don demonstrated amazing psychic abilities, but it's not Don alone, it's Becky.
Becky is with him all the time. All the time.
Okay, so my name's Steve Mera. I've worked in parapsychological research now for, well, you know, and the paranormal for 41 years. I was I had brown hair when I started, but 10 years ago I met with Don, and at that time I was actually doing experiments and looking into mediumship and spiritualism and all sorts of different things. And we have conducted tests with people who claim to be these different names: mediums, psychics, sensitives, call them what you will. And through the test procedures, we noticed something quite interesting, that occasionally, you know, there are people that have, you know, tap into the source and obtain information, and that's very interesting. But the consistency was never, ever there. And that's what we need as scientists. We need to be able to have replicatable data so we can bench test it, and that's what science wants, you know, but doesn't ever play the rules. And that's what's, you know, it's just very, very difficult to gather the data. So what we did find is that, and it's a shame, and I don't think people should do this, the pressure at the time of deliverance from these people who have these gifts, if they haven't got it, if there's nothing coming through, it's probably best to say, I'm not getting anything at the minute, guys. I've only met a couple of people like that, to be honest with you, including Don, you know, sometimes. And that's what's really important. That's exactly what we need in the subject when investigating these type of things. But the problem was they didn't get anything, and they'd add the icing on the cake. They'd tell a few porkies, and of course we find those. And when we find them, it's like, oh no, we don't want them. We really don't. We're not out to disprove these things. We want them. We want good evidence because we know it exists. But it's the consistency, and that's usually a big letdown for us. So at that time, 10 years ago, 2015, we were conducting tests and all sorts of different things. They opened up a new section referred to as paranormal mechanics, in such as how does the paranormal do what it does, the mechanisms, what's the capabilities of phenomena, what's its limitations, that sort of thing. And I came face to face with Don and it was an event, and he came over, shook my hand, and introduced himself. To me, he was just another person who, you know, claimed to have some abilities, and he did reach out to me. And you probably know the story, guys. But, you know, he did reach out to me, and of course, I wasn't at that time. I wasn't impressed, and I thought to myself, "Yeah, here we go again. He's another person." And I don't really get into ghost hunting, ghost busting type stuff. Very rarely am I involved, but you know, he badgered me for quite some time, and to the point where, you know, I kind of give in and said, okay, all right, this guy's not going to go away until I actually go and visit him and he, you know, see what he claims to be able to do. Well, what a journey it's been over the last 10 years, to be honest with you, because I thought, you know, by 31 years into this subject, I've pretty much seen it all. I wasn't going to get the, you know, the absolute fandango case, you know, because you can spend lifetimes in this subject and never get that. You can skirt around the outside. You can see and experience a number of different things occasionally, enough to keep you going, but nothing that it's like blows your mind, sort of thing. However, that all changed, like I say, 10 years ago, because when I met Don, I was so surprised that he could deliver when he said he could deliver. And that just, in this game, it doesn't work. It just doesn't happen like that. So I was hooked, because I thought to myself, wow, that changes the whole aspects of scientific endeavors. because we need replicatable information and you know, these things happening when we need them to happen. And Don could deliver that, which was incredible and allowed us to really strive forward in scientific research where others just hadn't done it, just not been able to get that replicatability. So it was great for us. So we went on a journey to try and figure out what it all consists of. And it was such an opportunity to be able to literally, I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but to guarantee that you are going to experience phenomena in the presence of Don Phillips. And of course, your mind starts going then. He said, well, he's, you know, what is Don? Is he just like a medium above mediums? You know, you know, you hear about these people's stories and things, but trying to get, you know, track these bits and bobs of information down across the internet's next to impossible. You don't know if it's disinformation, but when you experience it and you see it and hear it with your own ears, it's like, wow, that's amazing. And what was really interesting is that I thought that was it, and I was quite happy to stay like that, you know, to be honest with you, because that was just wow factor for me anyway. But over the last 10 years, the bar has just been raised by Don Phillips time and time again. And to the point when, I mean, we've been on investigations, all different places. We've experienced phenomena. We've seen phenomena. These items that have been moved. These lots of strange interactions. And I took Don Phillips on an SEP, the Scientific Establishment of Parapsychology, which I'm the founder of here in the UK. We had an investigation in Seattle, and I took Don Phillips with me. We also took Nick Kyle, who was the president at the time of the Scottish Society of Psychical Research, a quite well-known establishment here in the UK. And again, you know, gloves are off, and he demonstrated what he does, and it's absolutely incredible. Working with Don for a couple of years, I've witnessed some profound phenomena, and in fact, people that have been with us I just don't know how to explain it. It's very, very bizarre. Call it an ITC specialist, a catalyst, these numerous different names. But at the end of the day, paranormal phenomena certainly seems to manifest around him. But it wasn't good enough for me. I mean, the findings, I saw things happening, and I can't explain what those things could be. I needed somebody else to come in to verify even my own incidents, my own reports. That person was Nick Kyle. Nick is a very respected gentleman from the Scottish Society of Psychical Research in Scotland. He spent many years in the paranormal, and he was very sceptical. He came on board, he came to Seattle and witnessed phenomena himself, and he was quite taken back about it.
SPR has been investigating cases for 29 years in Scotland, and that this is a fairly typical case in recent days. And I would say that Steve is meticulous in his approach. Don is a curiosity, because what's happening with him would appear to be paranormal, and I still can't figure out how he can do what he can do.
So it was an eye-opener, not just for me, but an eye-opener for Nick Kyle as well, I suppose. And it was a fascinating case we visited twice overseas for that investigation, and a very good documentary. It was actually, you know, the demons in Seattle uncovered. If you haven't seen it, it's on Supernatural Files. I would suggest watching it if you haven't seen it, because it's raw. It is as it happened, what we experienced, and we come back with huge amounts of data, so much so. And a very large scientific report was actually put together on that case. So for me, it was like my whole life had changed over 31 years, and then suddenly Don Phillips comes along, and that was a whole big change for me. Trying to digest that material, there has been times of experiencing things where I've struggled to digest what's just happened, didn't understand it. Somebody's understanding of the realms of the paranormal and the realms of the supernatural is very difficult to comprehend when you're immersed in it at that time. And it can be a little unnerving at times, I admit that. And I have experienced things which, you know, which probably people would never experience in a lifetime. So we've been involved in a number of different things and TV things. And of course, the most recent one was Unsolved Mysteries, which literally filmed for a week. They brought the whole Hollywood crew over to the UK. It was absolute chaos. And they filmed enough information to do a whole series. The amount of information that was not put into the Unsolved Mysteries episode is huge. And it was so much. And not just that, but there's even further information that we might be able to share now with you guys, because it's this stuff about it's not out there. We've not discussed this. We've not talked about this. And it's a perfect opportunity for people to be able to hear what we've got to say and even ask questions. You know, like I say, it's been a hell of a journey.
Okay, yeah. So Steve is top of his game as a parapsychologist, UFO researcher. He's written several books. He is stricter than shit. You need to know that. Steve's reputation for being a skeptic is well earned. He has pissed off a lot of people
I have,
in his time. As he was explaining earlier, there's a lot of people making a lot of claims, wanting to be somebody, something, and stand out. The problem is when them claims are put to the test, a lot of the time they fall foul of those tests.
Really do. Yeah.
Tonight we will be talking about the episodes Unsolved Mysteries. There's a lot of stuff they shot. Things they begged me to include, and I said, no, I don't want that put in, and they still didn't include after I had actually agreed in the final edit. There's a lot of stuff at Tugby Castle you will not be aware of there. The show itself, excuse me, left a lot of questions, especially after Barry Fitzgerald. With all respect, his comments, I believe we have a possession with Don, and this may have been following him since for many, many years, and Becky's living his life through her life through Don. Okay, so we're going to address that. Is Becky a demon? Is Becky something angelic? What the hell is going on? I know that clearly. Oh, and let's not also forget, Steve, the punchline. Becky lied to Don. I need to address that now because there's been a lot of questions raised about that. So that's a big one. So we're going to go through that tonight. There's another little attribute that I'm going to actually share. Over the years, I've been drip feeding little bits of what I do to people because too much too soon. The general consensus.
I totally agree. It's a big pill to swallow.
It's a huge pill. I mean, a pill. Bill. We don't want
It really is. Yeah.
Excuse me. Steve said to me a long time ago when he started to get introduced to what I did, and it was proven, and we've done tests and things. Society is not ready for this. And I don't want to appear all mystic and mysterious, but you know what? It is what it is. I have become the topic that I used to study, which is the paranormal and supernatural. That is me. That is who I am. That is what I've become. In the episode, I said I just couldn't be a normal person anymore, and I couldn't. I also mentioned and said many times my union with Becky, and this is what it is. It is a union. Too many cigarettes, sorry. Now, me and Becky have an agenda. We've had an agenda from day one, which is now, 11 years? Getting nearly 12 years ago, Steve?
Yeah.
And when Steve was just getting to know me, I said, you know what? All this is about, and I'm going to put this out now because people would have gone like, oh, yeah, if it was a recent thing, oh, yeah, but you know me for 10, 11, 12 years now.
Yeah.
Mine and Becky's agenda is for the betterment, the better good of others, bringing change in any way, shape, or form that we can to add balance to society, the injustice in society, doing anything we can for the betterment of other people, whether it's people or animals, and to make a difference. Primarily, and he's going to confirm this anyway, to aid the subject of the paranormal.
Oh,
because I've said this many times. It has become so saturated and just messed up over the years with claims, people faking stuff, the rubbish on YouTube, the misconceptions, the misinterpretations of passages from the Bible, which often people use for their agenda as an excuse for the way that they act. I'm not going to mention anybody or anything. Specifically. Religion itself in the 21st century, or even the 20th century, or many years, has been weaponized. The justification of a person or a group's agenda. Religion is nothing what it should originally was intended or stands for. So I have a big problem with religion now. Okay. And the way it's been treated. Okay. Fundamental. Me and Becky have done many, many good things. I don't expect people to understand it, because I've also said before, people can only understand something and reach a fully formed conclusion based on all the information. I have never been at liberty, and I'm still not at liberty to disclose all the information about me, about Becky, and how it works. I can do that when I was with Becky's consent, basically. But even then, I will be on the fence about that, because I wouldn't want to put everything out I know about me, everything about Becky, because, like you said, going back, Steve, he's not ready, and it's about acceptance levels. This is why, when I started doing my things with Becky, I knew I was changed. I was my physiology was changing, my abilities were changing, and these have been incremental increases over many years, as you know, Steve.
Yeah, in like stages.
In stages. It will always sound weird. It will always sound mystic, because you know what? People don't understand it. I don't understand it all. No, I don't know how it works. So, is Becky an angelic being? Okay, let's just shoot on that straight off the bat. Yes, she is. I'm not angel. That's a label. We don't do labels. We don't do angels. We don't do demons. We don't do psychics. We don't do mediums. That's just how I am. I don't do that.
It's an interpretation by the religious connotation added to this to make angels and stuff. Not that there are well scriptures about such things, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's still somebody's idea.
Right. And I also need to address this before we go any further. Okay. This is associated with demonic and dark practices. That's bullshit. There is a video on my channel that explains the history of what this is, what it stands for. I'm not going to go into a lot of it now, but this was actually the Christianity symbol of Christ before they adopted the crucifix. These are the 5 wounds of Christ, each point. So I'm not going to go into it, but this thing has got more pedigree when it comes to religion and what it stands for than the crucifix, which was later adopted. So before you want to judge me or subscribe, because Don's in league with the devil and the Satan, the ascetic virgin, chicken blood, and all that, just shove it, save it, do what you want with it. I'm not bothered. Please look at the upload about this. I think it was something like evil versus the banana. I was doing this comparison between this, that, and the crucifix. Check out your history before you judge anybody about anything.
The thing is, Don, we've seen this countless times. I mean, we've got the German swastika, right? Now, if you look at the swastika, it's an ancient symbol. It's an ancient symbol that represents spirituality.
Exactly.
And what they basically did is that they utilized it. So, I mean, everybody goes, oh my God, it's a swastika. But I mean, if you go back to a different time, what it really means, and this was a symbolism all over the world it was used, is that it's been misconstrued, and this is exactly the same situation.
It actually is. Before, I mean, and also notice, I had 2 choices. And this way up, I could have hung it the other way, where it would have been inverted. It's not inverted. That's a plus thing. Okay, so this is all explained on another video on this channel. In fact, if this records to YouTube, I'll post a link to the bottom so you can get into that. There's too many people these days. I'm a Catholic. I'm a this. I'm a that. I'm Christianity and everything else. They follow the modern interpretations of things, but you've got to take everything right back to its source, to its history, to its representation. Interpretations, misconceptions. That is what the paranormal and religion is all about these days.
Yeah.
I mean, when I look at the world now, Steve, and I'm going to be blunt, so much is fucked up. And that's not the one, that's me. It's fucked up.
Yeah.
Balance, this, whether it's, I'm not talking about administrations right now or politics.
Yeah.
But there's so much just
there are so many things wrong and bad. You have to sort of say, how on earth can we fix all these things without rebooting? It's getting to that point where how the hell is it a managerial issue that has to be dealt with?
Humans?
Yeah.
That's
it. That's the equation.
The biggest parasite on Earth, on this wonderful planet, is humans.
Yeah, we do it to ourselves. Yeah.
Now, let's just touch very slightly on these apparently aliens called the lightitons. Now, new subscribers will not know about these, but Steve's known about these for quite some time.
Yeah.
When I was talking and I said, "We are the lightitons." What? We hear and see everything, and all this is on the channel. The recordings, crystal clear. Becky, who the hell's the lightitons? I didn't have a clue. She said, "They see and hear everything." And then they came straight in and said, "We see and hear everything." And my voice is similar to the one that they was actually, I'm not being dramatic. And also on this channel, there is, on the Supernatural Files, a previous one, where I'm talking to them and said, "Okay, so what's your agenda? Why are you here?" "To change the planet." That's what they said. Their objective is to change the planet. What does that even mean? So take a listen to this clip now. What I'm interested to know, the portal that was there last time we went, guys, Becky, if we go again, are we there for the whole period? Will that portal open again? Now this is the whole point. When I said, "Becky, the lightitons?" The lightitons.
I know, and there'll be people out there thinking, "Well, I'm going to try and Google this." But you know what? It's.
Do you know the best way we can make this planet better? Do you know that? Let me tell you. To get rid of people.
Then we're the problem, yeah.
No, we are parasites on this planet.
We're the problem.
We don't owe the planet. We don't owe the planet.
Yeah.
We are guests on this planet. We was not. I'm not going to get into this now. This is stuff I know by Becky. We did not originate from this planet. This is not our planet. I'm not getting into this now. So don't ask Steve. I know you're just gagging at the bit, but to change the planet. Change it how? I didn't ask.
No.
In my mind, to make it better, to make it beautiful, to make it pure, to make it to be the way nature intended, is to get rid of humans, because we have robbed it, we have raped it, we have abused it.
Yep.
And just it just
we don't know. We still don't know what the lightitons represent.
I don't know a lot about the lightitons.
When I first talked to you about it, it did seem that there was some form of hierarchy.
The thing is this: the fact that Becky knew who the lightitons are and all about them,
in
my mind, because that is a crossover between spiritual and, let's call it, alien-ish.
Yeah.
Because I then said to Becky, I asked her the question, and Steve, you've been with me a long time. You know that every single thing that Becky's ever said has been 100% honest, true.
Yeah.
And she never faltered on anything.
No.
Becky, who are the lightitons? This was the bit that blew my mind. Alien spirits. Wow.
Now that's interesting, because you don't have to just look at the work that I've been involved in or Don's been involved in. You can look back in time. You can consider things like the skull experiment, which through the seance process also interacted with non-human intelligences. This is new name, NHI, through that same process. And not just them, you can go back even further. You know, even Livermore Laboratories in the US have been dabbling in contact like that. It's been a lot of times. You could talk about, you know, things like the Real Society, you know, which is basically communicating with apparently NHI, getting information from them. It even goes back further than that, because that was based on an earlier one in the 1930s throughout Germany. How long has this been going on for? There's been big organizations like Lockheed, Boeing, Douglas, Bell. They've sat around these sales tables to try and get little bits of information from NHI about advanced aviational technology. Of course, you know, they don't all fully just give them everything, you know, but little pieces, you know, get obtained, and it goes back to the industrial or defense contractors, and they start messing about with things. So, you know, it's very, you know, there is seemingly a path through for communication. So it's not something new. It's been going on for a very long time, but very secretly behind closed doors.
Society, people. I mean, one thing is with humans that I've observed is, you know, their minds are so fractured. And, you know, I'm not being disrespectful to anybody. They are so fractured and so vulnerable. The other thing I want to touch on now, I'm going to tell you something that you won't know. This is a big one. This is a really huge one. And we have to drip feed the public. You know, they can say bullshit. And like my normal response is take it, leave it, do what you want with it.
Yeah.
If you recall, I had a conversation with Brian Allen maybe 10 years ago about Becky.
Yes.
And Becky was talking about the war in heaven. Okay, we don't know what heaven is. We have our picture of heaven. We have our label. We have our, it's a wonderful place and pearly gates and God and or whatever. But no, at the end of the day, that's a human interpretation. We don't know what heaven is.
No.
Let me tell you something. And I'm also going to get to Becky deceived Don, she lied to her. I'm going to get to that. I'm going to address that because I need to now, and this is all my fault.
Yeah.
So you remember I had a conversation with Brian Allen.
Yeah.
And about Becky mentioned the war in heaven and everything. I can reveal something now, which is set things up pretty well. Let me tell you something. I've always maintained that Becky is not a normal spirit person, and that's obvious. That's been obvious to you for the last 10, 11, 12 years.
Yeah.
And because of what I do through our union with Becky, that is not a normal spirit union, because you know what? Otherwise, everybody that's in communication with spirits would be doing what I do.
No, I've never seen.
No, is that correct?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
And I do a whole lot, like you said before, you know, Don doesn't just do this or this, he does everything.
Yeah.
And it's proven. It's not conjecture. It's not a claim. It's proven.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. During the war in heaven, Becky was there.
So that really makes you think, doesn't it? Then, doesn't it? You know,
Not just Becky was there. Let me tell you something else. You can call her an angel, archangel, you can call her whatever you want. I don't care. Or you can say, bullshit, Don, go away, or whatever. Like I say, take it, leave it, what you do with it. I was talking to her a couple of weeks ago, and Paddy was there, and I've got the recordings, which I may share at some point. She was talking about the war in heaven and everything. And then there was something else that was actually going on recently, pretty recently, where she and the spirity guys had to deal with a certain situation. And all intents and purposes, Becky was at the forefront.
And apparently, she's seemingly, when you have, look, as you're going through the years and you have these communications with whatever these spirits are, whoever they are, they seemingly know who Becky is.
Not
That's
just that. Not just that. I'm not going into any details whatsoever, but
Yeah.
they know who I am as well.
yeah, and it's like, what the hell? Your mind starts exploding with possibilities of, is she a fallen one? How old is she? Age old? And what is she? And it is difficult digesting. I spent nights lying in bed, not being able to sleep after going out and experiencing some of this stuff. And it really did. It really is like I couldn't work it out, trying to figure everything out. But you know what? Our brains function in a way. The human brain is that there is an answer.
Yeah.
We just got to solve it. But what makes you think there is an answer? I mean, should there be an answer? Should we even have that information?
This is the thing. Everybody's asking questions like they're entitled to the answer. Who's to say you're entitled? It's like all about Becky.
Well, yeah.
You're not entitled to know everything there is to know about Becky. You are not. You will not be able to digest it. Second of all, she's entitled to her confidentiality, just like you or I am. Why should everything have to automatically? Well, we need to know this. I understand. I understand people. It raises questions, and I understand that the public's not ready for a lot of stuff. But
yeah, I mean, we can certainly see through ancient scriptures that which were thought, oh well, I don't know who gave them that perception of they're always extremely truthful about everything.
Steve,
because there's demonstrations even in scriptures and in Bibles where these you told that.
I was at work several months ago. Just to be honest, I got laid off last Wednesday. My wonderful boss, the owner of the company, said, "Hey, Don, I need to speak to you." I said, "Okay, what's up?" She said, "Don, I got to lay you off today. It'll be your last day." I'm like, wow, that was a shock. But
yeah,
I passed it. I'm good. I'm setting up my own company. I'm everything's good now. But this is the thing. 7 months ago, and she became aware of me, Becky, and everything, and she's ultra religious. God, Jesus, the whole thing, which is fine. I respect that.
Mm-hmm.
Don, I'm worried about you. She just said, I went, what? She went, Becky's a demon. This is the general consensus. Now, we said, on the Netflix episode, it was mentioned, and with Barry Older, and now I think it's a case of possession with Don.
Oh, it does become very debatable, Don, because the same thing, when you talk about possession, what is
it?
What is it? I mean, what is when you bring in, according to the Bible, according to the churches, allow the Holy Spirit in. What is the Holy Spirit in you?
/a
it's
Holy
not,
Spirit.
Yeah, so it means that it doesn't necessarily mean possession. It could be a union, or it could be something like that.
Union, fine line.
Yeah.
But in the whole nature kind of thing, if possession is a thing, and it is possible, and incidentally, I will be bringing an Archbishop exorcist on the show in the very near future, who I'm currently talking to about it.
Yeah.
Me and Becky will be ultra interesting, I'm sure.
Yeah, let me say there'll be some very grey areas. No putting it said there, but
the point being is, if that is a thing, first of all, possession is a possession in its very context and description against a person's will.
Well, it
is.
Forcefully, yeah.
So if there was a possession with a willing participant, whether it's the good side or the bad side, fine. But who's to say, like I said before, possession by something bad, possession by something good? Why can it not be by something good if that's a thing?
I don't even like
surely the same rules would apply if that's a thing and it's possible.
Yeah, but in your case, there was no forcefulness. There's not. I wouldn't even say the word possession because, it gives that annotation that you've been forced, and it's not been a forced. It's been a partnership in a sense of speaking.
Becky, I have lived my life from Becky, and I'm not I'm quite an intelligent guy, Steve. You know that.
Yeah, yeah.
I've been doing this for a long time. Spirit
Yeah, yeah.
person comes along and says, hey, I'm a nice lady called Becky and I'm going to do this and do that. And do you know what? Do you think I'm that stupid? Do you think I do not know that things can present themselves a certain way? In fact, I actually
we've been at sessions when we've had recordings saying, I'm a demon, I'm going to break your legs and all that.
I had a demon threatening to kill my daughter many, many years ago. You know about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I didn't lose my shit because you know what? If you do that, then you've got an Achilles heel.
Yeah.
You got to stay controlled. You got to stay grounded. And do you know what I said? Becky, can you take care of this? I sorted it. Never heard from him again.
Yeah. There's been a number of things like that. Yeah.
Now, there's something I'm going to mention, and people are going to go, wow. Else they're going to say, bullshit. But you know this to be true. My ex-partner I was with for 25 years, Rachel. There was one time, this is kind of on the possession-y kind of thing, scale in a good sense. And did this even happen? I don't know. I couldn't see it. So we were sitting in the lounge one day. She was sitting on the sofa, and I was just sitting in front of her, talking to her. But Paddy knows all about this. And she suddenly went, what the fuck? You're right. I don't know what I've just seen. What? Your eyes have just glowed. What? Yeah, Rachel. She said, your eyes have glowed.
Yeah.
And I kind of put a distance between me and her for like 3 or 4 days because she was like, and everything. Did they? I don't know. But I wasn't facing any windows or anything. But I thought that was interesting all the same. And then there was another time, and you'll know about this. We went to when we was in Ireland.
When we were in Ireland, yeah.
Late at night, at like 12, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, my mother suddenly called me. Said, "You all right, son?" Yeah, why? We just come back from Machine House.
Unusual, yeah.
You remember?
Mm-hmm.
She was wide awake watching TV. She just had this, let's call it a vision, a flash. There's something really evil looking through this archway that used to be a window or something, just looking at you. Wow, that's not my mum. That's not what she does. You remember? That was interesting. We just got back from Machine.
We had.
You know what happened there? That was
Yeah. Crazy. Yeah.
And then there was another time when I went to Egypt for the BBC to do some filming for them. And it's a couple of nights later, I'm laying in bed, and Rachel's like, "What?" She says, "Oh, there's this thing standing there." What thing? It's like this with a dog head, and it was standing right next to you. As I was asleep. He was awake.
I remember that,
Yeah, and I was like, okay. For intents purposes, you're talking Anubis.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. I have strange things happen that other people tell me about sometimes that I'm not even aware about.
Yeah.
Aware of. I have a kind of connection with everything from anywhere at any time.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works exactly. But
we haven't got all the answers.
But Rachel was very stern, and she wasn't ever a fantasist.
No, she wasn't. No. Yeah.
She wouldn't even look at me. She was like,
yeah.
So I don't know what that was about. Am I demonic?
No, but you can understand. Huh? And I get it. I can understand how there can be people. They look at it and they go, okay, well, he's communicating with something, the red eyes and this and that. It's
no one ever said red eyes. No one ever said red eyes.
People are going to think, oh, well, it's demonic and there's deception involved. In other words, it's a play act. It's like something pretending to be something good. Right. Okay, so I've been down that
can happen.
You've
got to understand.
It can.
There are certain things that have been proven to me by Becky, which kind of has convinced me. Becky, who said she is what she is, where she's from, why she's there, why we've got this agenda. Yes. People don't understand that. It's like, oh, Becky could be a demon. Yeah, I totally get that.
When
Becky's the total opposite to a demon.
yeah, we're not. What makes us think we're supposed to have the answers? Maybe we're supposed to be left in a situation trying to work out. Well, we have to judge like a person. We have to judge these things on a character over long periods of time. I've done studies in regarding people who claim to have had spirit guides for most of their lives.
Yeah.
Right now, when we talked to these people and asked them to give us details about what do you know about your spirit guide? Oh, they've always been very good, always been very helpful, always been very truthful, nothing negative, ever. I think, okay, well, you have to kind of judge things on their actions. And when I actually said, well, what do you know about your spirit guide? They said, oh, well, they told me it was this is his name and this is where he used to work and this is where he, all these different things. But when we studied that, we were quite surprised to find that sometimes these things weren't that person, didn't work there.
Yeah.
So they don't want to let people know. Maybe it's because it's just overwhelming. It's too much, to understand. It doesn't necessarily mean, oh, well, they're being deceptive on purpose.
But when you're talking about that, spirity people, let's call them spirity people, they have to present something to you on your level that you will understand.
Yes.
You will that you will kind of acknowledge and be comfortable with,
Yeah.
I mean, I was talking to Becky a few weeks ago, and Paddy was there, about our reality. Now, this is a question: what is the point of life? People for forever. I've always wondered, why am I here and everything, and how's reality work? And we're talking about future, past, present. We're talking about string theory. We're talking about all this. And I am going to do a total thing on this when I've got all the information, because all the information is crucial at this point.
Yeah.
Becky told me our reality is not a singular reality. It is formed it's a fractured reality, and it exists by amalgamation of many realities to form what we perceive as a singular reality. Now, people say, oh, it's like the Matrix. It's a computer program. I can see where they're coming from on that, with some of the
Yeah.
But the fact that our reality is not how it's perceived, and that it's created from fragments of other realities.
Yeah.
That's mind blowing. That's a discussion.
Yeah, probably only
I will do a whole thing on this when I've got all the information from Becky.
Mm.
Are we living in the future, the past, the present? I know the answer to that.
All simultaneously.
Even if you was in the past, you would think it was the future. If you was in the present, it was just the present. If you're in the future,
they all existed together.
You would always assume it was the present.
Mm.
Okay. Now, when I asked Becky some questions about this guy came in. He said, "You can't tell them that. You can't tell them that." That was important.
There is information we're not supposed to have.
Yeah.
Oh,
there is. But you know what?
We have pressed these times, haven't we?
So much information about our reality, spirituality, the planet, the history of spirituality.
Yes, yeah.
You blow your mind, Steve. But I cannot put that all out publicly.
No, I totally get it.
No one will be able to accept it.
I totally get that. And there'll be times when, you think, right, well, okay, well, we've got some good nuggets over the years, and you think, wow, what was that?
Tinsy, wincy,
little bits
of things.
And that is like a mind blower. But, when we think about the information, what they could hold, how would we, maybe we just can't perceive it or understand it.
Exactly, because you are a human mind.
Well, we're confined and socially confined.
You've got to be outside the box. You've got to be accepting.
Yeah.
I've said this many times before. You are born, little baby. You develop, you grow. What do you turn into? Let me tell you. You don't turn into you.
No.
You turn into what is projected on you. Who you are, what's possible, your role in society, what's possible and what's not. That is projected into your mind.
Social conditioning.
So you are not actually who you think you are. Even now, you and all these millions of people, billions of people on the planet,
Isn't that the way?
they're told who they are.
Yeah.
Okay, their role in society and their limitations. And I've always said that your mind is your prison. Now you go back to brainwashing. No matter what context, brainwashing person is basically that is their limitation, because you're brainwashed. Whether it's a cult, whether it's this or whatever, you're brainwashed. That is your whole mind's acceptance of reality.
Yeah.
That is exactly what society does with you from the day you are born and start to learn who you are, what your role is, what is possible, what's not. No, I somehow managed to deviate away from all of that and rewrite my own page in my mind to who I am, what's possible.
I mean, if we just try and sort of perceive it in this way, that even prior to in ancient times, we were pretty clued up about mathematics, but there would have been a time, we go back, that mathematics wasn't even understood, wasn't even known, to early man. But the fact is that imagine slapping a piece of paper of astrophysical mathematics on a sheet of paper in front of them and saying, do you understand? They wouldn't, because it has to be a transition of change and a progress of learning before we even get to understand that.
You have to clear your mind, your brain, and start learning all.
You really do.
Forget society's rules, what you've been programmed, and it is programming, Steve. You right there now are a product of programming.
Yeah, absolutely.
Through society, through experiences, that's what you are.
What happens is, as soon as you step out of that field, right, you've got other close academics who are going to start. The first thing is raise their eyebrow, especially if you start saying things. Yeah. But it comes to a point where, as I said to you when I first met you, I always say it as it is. I don't leave any stone unturned, and I don't care.
That's why we have this.
Yeah, I don't care what the results are. If I find it, I will let it out. I will put it out, and I'll still stand by that. When you do, though, oh boy, bloody hell! Talk about shunned. Talk about raised eyebrows. Talk about thinking people like you. This guy lost his plot.
Yeah,
that's the conditioning. It's like, I'm so uncomfortable in my situation now because I've opened my mouth. Maybe I shouldn't go there. And this is what these academics do in these societies, in parapsychological departments and stuff. They won't go there because it's just not the thing. They'd rather get a big clout of money from research and try and disprove something, but trying to push forward and advance, I don't think they're ever going to do it because they're too scared to get into that. Because they're just not backed up, and you are become the black sheep very, very quick.
They don't understand it.
No, I mean, we know through physics now that there's a whole different type of physics. And we talk about paranormal physics, the mechanics of it. When you talk about things which are, you can see them, but you can't touch them. They're phasing in and out of reality or things like that. You're talking about things that defy our understanding of the physics we understand. Then we have to kind of say, okay, well, the physics we've got, we need to develop a new form of physics because it's demonstrable. It's a big pill to swallow and it's hard to push forward.
Do you know the task I had in hand? I have worked so hard over the years to separate myself from the bullshit, the fakeness, and let me call it, without being disrespectful, public paranormal, where everything's paranormal.
Yeah,
okay. I'm skeptic.
Do you know, that's what I was surprised about you, Don, to be honest with you, because I was surprised at the fact that not only do you investigate yourself, in a sense of speaking,
I do investigate
the credibility of the information, you were doing what my job. I was like saying, hey, don't do my job. I know my job, but I see you're doing that already.